Ohai. Corinth, the ancient Greek policy and the modern city on the Corinthian Isthmus connecting continental Greece and the peninsula of Peloponnese. From the west the isthmus is washed by waters of the Gulf of Corinth, from the east the Gulf Saronicism. The city is in 78 kilometers to the southwest from Athens. Is the administrative center of the community of the same name. Alma. And peripheral unit of Corinthia in the periphery Peloponnese. The population of 30176 inhabitants on a census of 2011. Area 17.652 square kilometers. Modern Corinth is restored after an earthquake of 1858 in 3 kilometers to the northeast from the destroyed city. To the northeast from the modern city the Corinthian Channel is laid. 1881-1893 is constructed. Length -6.3 km, width -22 m, depth -8 m. Leaving to Saronic Gulf near the city of Isthmia. This settlement appeared in the Neolithic, about the Ord year BB. According to myths, the city was founded by Corinth, the descendant of solar god Helios, or Ephyra, the Titan Ocean's daughter, as in the ancient time the city bore also her name. There is archaeological evidence of plunder of the settlement which was here at a turn of the 2 millennia BB. The name of the city comes from Dogracheski Pelesniski language. It is probable that in a Bronze Age there was one of the cities of the Mycenaean civilization, similar to Mycenae, Tiryns or Pylos here. The mythical founder of a dynasty of ancient Tsars of Corinth. Also sometimes in the cities. Sisyphus is considered. Here the leader of Argonauts Iason left Medea. Corinthians were involved under Agamemnon's leadership in the Trojan War. In the twilight of the Mycenaean era Doriates tried to take control of Corinth, and from the second attempt they managed it when, having passed the Gulf of Corinth at Antyrion, their leader Alat entered the city from the south. Later, during the classical period, the city competed to Athens and Thebes in trade and control over transportations through an isthmus. Corinth remained the largest supplier of Chernifigoni ceramics to other cities of Old Greek world to the middle of the 6th century BB when leadership passed to Athens. On an acropolis there was a main temple devoted to the goddess Aphrodite. On some sources, at the temple more than 1,000 priestesses consisted. In Corinth played Isthmiski games. In the 7th century BB, during government of the tyrant Kypsel, 657-627 BB, and his son Periander, 627-585 BB, Corinth founded colonies. Epidam, modern Durs in Albania, Syracuse to Ambrisi, modern Lefkis, Kirki, modern Corfu, and Anactary. Actions. Periander also put Apollonia, modern Fire in Albania, and Tupotide on the peninsula Chaktidiki. For the purpose of increase in volume of trade with Egypt, Corinth among 9 cities participated in creation of colony of Nacretid in Egypt in government of the Pharaoh of the 26th dynasty Semitic one. Periander is carried sometimes to 7 wise men. In his board the first Corinthian coins were wrapped out, an attempt to create the channel through the Isthmus which would allow the ships to get directly from Corinthian to the Saronicheski Gulf was for the first time made. The project wasn't realized in connection with difficulties of his technical implementation, however instead of the channel Dioc was created, I dragged through Isthmus of Corinth. The Eurocapsulida which ended with government of the nephew period or Samitic called in honor of the Egyptian pharaoh Alanopheles Samitic I was the golden age of Corinth. Samitic was killed during the plot, on the third year of the board, and in Corinth the oligarchical system was established. During this period there was the Corinthian warrant, the third warrant of classical ancient Greek architecture after Ionic and Doristi. The design of his capital was the most difficult and magnificent of three, reflecting wealth and a wasteful way of life of citizens of the policy, unlike severity and the simplicity of the Doriski warrant corresponding to the rule of life of Spartans. Corinthians, as well as Spartans, were Dorietes. Meanwhile as the Ionic warrant expressed balance between the first two warrants, embodying the idea of a measure at Ionians. Then there was a saying. Upantos plenes Corinthan. That is literally translated as, not to anything to float to Corinth, life in the city was very expensive. This city was well known for the temple, devoted to the goddess of love Aphrodite. Priestesses of the temple served rich dealers and influential state persons in the city or traveling with them out of his limits. The most known of them, Lais, had glory endowed with outstanding abilities in the business and raising the greatest payment for the services. This city possessed two ports, one on the bank of Corinthian, another the Saronicheski Gulf, open for tradeways, respectively, the western and east Mediterranean. Through Lake Hyen, being on the bank of the Gulf of Corinth, communication with the western colonies. Eviction. And Great Greece was carried out, and to Cancri the ships came from Athens, Ionia, Cyprus, and the areas of Levant. In both harbors there were docks for the maintenance of the big fleet of the city-state. The city was involved in the Greek-Persian wars. 40 ships of Corinth battled in fight at Salamis under command of the Admiral Adamant. The city exposed 5.00 goblet, wearing characteristic Corinthian helmets, to the subsequent fight at Platioch. However, then the city became the ally of Sparta on the Peloponnese Union directed against Athens. The dispute between Athens and Corinth for possession of colony of the last Kirki, Corfu, was one of reasons for the Peloponnese War which burst in 431 BB, and the dispute in turn was result of traditional trade rivalry of two cities. After the end of the Peloponnesian War, Corinth and Thebes, the former allies of Sparta on the Peloponnese Union, without wishing hegemony of Sparta, began against her the war which received the name Corinthian. In the conflict, policies of Peloponnese weakened so that couldn't resist further establishment of tyranny. In Corinth, Timotheon's tyranny. To invasion of Macedonians about the north which saw Philip II Macedon, caught up at the head of the Corinthian Union created by him which united under the aegis all Greece for the forthcoming war with Persia. But only Philip's son, Alexander, became the first commander of the Union. In Corinth the Macedonian garrison was located. In 243 Corinth was a part of the Achaean Union, having expelled Macedonians, but in 223 had to accept the Macedonian sentry group again. The military leader of the Roman Republic of Lutzi Mummy Achaean destroyed the city after a siege in 146 BB. Having entered Corinth, Mummy betrayed to a sword of men, and women and children sold in slavery and set fire to the city. He also received for a victory over the Achaean Union Achaean. Archaeological certificates speak about that, as after devastation there was a small settlement here until in the 44th year BB, shortly before the death, Julius Caesar recreated the city under the name of Colonialis Iulia Corinthiensis. Appian writes that the Roman freedmen were new settlers. Later Corinth was a residence of the government of the province of Accae. On Acts of Apostles 18, 12, 16. The city differed in wealth, and the population, vicious customs and love to luxury. The population was mixed and consisted of Romans, Greeks and Jews. When the Apostle Pavel the first time arrived to Corinth in 51 or 52 Gallian, the elder brother of Lucian and Seneca was the proconsul at Key. Pavel spent in the city 18 months. See Acts of Apostles 18, 1-18. Here he got acquainted with Aquila and Priscilla. Soon after his departure to the city there arrived Apollos from the hilt. Though Pavel intended to visit Corinth for the second time before a trip to Macedonia, circumstances developed so that he went from Troada to Macedonia, and then I arrived in Corinth that the Corinthian Christian community again received grace. See the second epistle to the Corinthians 1:15. This time for 3 months. On Acts of Apostles 20. During this visit in the spring of the 58th year, probably, Pavel wrote the message to Romans. Pavel was also the author of 2 messages to the Christian community of Corinth. In the first message, the complexity of existence of Christian community in this multinational city is noted. Corinth was destroyed by earthquakes of 375 and 551 years. Alaric during invasion into Greece 395-396 plundered the city, and many inhabitants sold in slavery. At Justinian I from Saronichesti to the Gulf of Corinth the stone wall protecting the city and all Peloponnese from invasions from the north was stretched. Length of the construction named by Ecamilian was equal to about 10 kilometers. At the time in Corinth there was an administration of the Fema Hellas which was approximately coinciding across the territory with modern Greece. In the 12th century, at a dynasty Comnena the city grew rich on trade in silk with countries of Western Europe. The richness of the city attracted Rosa Sitsilisti who ruined Corinth in 1147 here. In 1204 Geoffroy Villardin, the nephew of the famous historian of the Fourth Crusade bearing the same name after falling of Constantinople, received a title of the Prince Achaean, and Corinth departed to him in possession. For 1205-1208 the authorities of the Western European Knights resisted the Corinthians who sat down at Acrocorinth's citadel under command of the Greek military leader Leonskouros. Frenchman Guillaume Champlit was the leader of Crusaders. In 1208 Leonskouros committed suicide, having jumped on a horse from Acrocorinth's wall. However, Corinthians continued fight till 1210. After demolition of resistance, Corinth was a part of the Achaean Principality which ruled Villarduena from the capital of Andravida located in the field of Elad. Corinth was the closest of the significant cities to border with other state of Crusaders, the Athenian Principality. In 1395, as a result of war between the Achaean Principality and the Byzantine Empire, Corinth turned into structure of Byzantium again. In 1458, 5 years after falling of Constantinople, the city with his powerful lock was won by the Ottoman Empire. During the Greek War of Independence, 1821-1830, the city was completely destroyed by the Turkish troops. In 1832 the city of Corinth, according to the London Agreement, left structure of the Ottoman Empire. In 1833 the city was considered as one of candidates for the status of the capital of the Greek kingdom, then was obliged to the historical value and advantageous strategic position. Nevertheless, the settlement insignificant at the time Athens became the capital. In 1858 the old city located on the place of ancient Corinth was completely destroyed by an earthquake. Now he is known as Ancient Corinth. The new city was founded in 3 kilometers to the northeast on the coast of the Gulf of Corinth. Corinth, the second in density of population city in the periphery Peloponnese after Kalamata, which population minus 53659 people. 2001. On a census of 1991 in the city lived persons, on a census of 2001, 30434 persons, that is in 10 years gain was 8.4%. During the period from 1981 to 1991 increase in population was one of the highest in the country here. The population of the municipal district of Corinth in 2001 made 36991 inhabitants. In the district there are settlements. Ancient Corinth located in 3 kilometers from the center of the new city at Rocca Crocker Foot, on the place of antique and medieval Corinth, with the population of 1770 people, Examilia minus 1567 people, Collocarism minus 777 people and Salamis minus 686 people. Thanks to the situation on an isthmus connecting Peloponnese and other Greece, Corinth, the nodal transport center. The Corinthian Channel, crossing the Isthmiski Isthmus, provides water transport connection between the western Mediterranean and the Aegean Sea. From the north the city is adjoined by the port providing requirements of the local industry and agriculture generally exports goods. Corinth is also the large industrial center. The oil refinery, which is considered as one of the largest in East Mediterranean, is located in 12 kilometers to the northeast from the city. Among products of the enterprises there are copper cables, products of oil processing industry, the medical equipment, marble, plaster, a ceramic tile, salt, mineral waters and drinks, meat products and gum. So far the industrialization process began, the production was phased down by the enterprises of a paper complex, cotton mill and the plant on packing of meat products. The Historical and Folklore Museum is based for the purpose of search, preservation and display of folklore materials and also for distribution of the corresponding knowledge and information on the general public. His rich collections. The beginning of the 19-20 centuries include women's and men's suits from many regions of Greece, and embroidery, woven, silver products, metal wares and wood carving and also agricultural tools and household utensils. The Ecclesiasticheski Museum is founded in 1971 by the Metropolitan Corinth Panelimonas for placement of icons and church relics which are a part of local church history. The Municipal Art Gallery is open on September 21, 1998. Includes pictures of Sotiris Pilaninos who offered the collection for creation of gallery in the homeland. In gallery both works of the artist, and a number of important works of the famous artists from his personal collection are presented. The prayer about hunger, noted by awards, Rich and Poor, the Unknown Soldier, is distinguished from his works. In gallery periodic exhibitions of artists are held. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.